obviously a big day for JR Motorsports, a big announcement here just a little bit ago. And we're excited to have you guys spend some time with us and explain to us how this came together.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. We spent the whole day here at Whiskey River out on our property, capturing a lot of content and talking to Chris and Justin and visiting with Kelly. And a lot of work went into putting this program together, designing a race car and logistics and our roster of mechanics and all the people that we'll need to go to the racetrack, buying our race car and putting it together. So it's been a lot of fun, a lot of work, but we're now starting to, get a dose of reality and get to know each other, right? I mean, it's really the first time me and Chris have been around each other, so we've really enjoyed the day. Can't wait to see the reaction on social media, and we know we got a lot of people that follow JR Motorsports and pull for our success, and we're excited to see how they all feel about the Daytona 500 and us having an entry.
All right. And Justin, for you, obviously winning the NASCAR Xfinity Series championship in November and then the opportunity to run the Daytona 500 in 2025, I would have to say you've had a great winter. Tell us a little bit about just your outlook as this opportunity came together and you get the chance to pilot the car.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, amazing opportunity, to win the championship last year and to kind of finally check a box that we've tried to check at JR Motorsports for so long with myself and with the team. And when I got brought into the office to discuss this, I thought I was being called to the principal's office, to be honest with you, at first, and I wasn't really sure what to expect. And when they were explaining some of the process about it, I kind of didn't put myself in the position of them offering me the job to drive the car. I just thought they were kind of filling me in on what the plans were for JR Motorsports. And so when the opportunity was presented to obviously drive the car and to be a part of the foray for JR Motorsports into the Cup Series, I mean, that's a big opportunity. I take a lot of pressure on myself in that moment to see this organization, compete on the grand scale of the Cup Series, something that I am surprised that has never come to fruition before this point. But then to add somebody like Chris Stapleton and Travelers Whiskey into this, to see how involved Chris has been in this process and how much passion he's I mean, really in the conversations, what's gone back and forth between him and the team. And then just today to see his passion for this is really, really cool for me. And something that I'm not taking lightly. I know that it's going to be a stacked field at the racetrack. There's a lot of open cars, trying to battle for a few spots. But, this is, as somebody that's been a part of the Cup Series, it's great to get back. But this is a lot bigger than that for me. This is about seeing JR Motorsports make this transition for this race. And who knows if there will ever be another JR Motorsports Cup Series entry. But regardless, there will always be one first. And this is obviously something that's really, really important to all of us.
And Chris, for you, just tell us a little bit of what it means to you to be able to bring your, whiskey brand to put on a car in conjunction with Dale and the relationship you guys have. Tell us a little bit about how that came together from your perspective, to see that brand on the racetrack.
I'm not sure it's fully sunk in yet. It's one of these things that you kind of think about, what's the coolest thing we could do with the whiskey brand? Well, maybe we should put it on a race car. And I happen to know Rick Hendrick, and Rick kind of hooked me up with Dale, and this opportunity came up, and I was like, well, we've got to do that. So I went and talked to my partners in the whiskey, and I said, hey, we've got to make this happen. Let's make this happen. And they agreed. This is the best possible way that we could, introduce our brand to the fans of the sport. And beyond that, I just think it's super cool to see it on the car. That, selfishly, I think that's one of the things I wanted out of it the most, is just to see this thing happen. And now, like Dale said, a lot of realities are setting in, like, oh, we're entering a car in the Daytona 500 all of a sudden, and it's just going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited to see what happens and enjoy just the whole thing, the experience of it.
All right. We'll now go to media for questions. A friendly reminder, if you have a question, raise your hand. Within the Zoom platform, we'll get to as many questions as we can in the time that we have. And if for some reason your raise the hand option is not working, I will monitor the chat as well. So to kick us off, we will go to a question from Matt Weaver. Matt, go ahead with your question.
Hey guys, thanks for the time today for all of you. A question for all of you. Just first, I want to know why Justin? I mean, obviously there's a lot of drivers within the JRM camp and outside of the JRM camp. So why is Justin the guy?
Well, I think this is, I was saying this earlier. For me, there's a lot of layers to this. Obviously, Junior Motorsports and myself and Kelly entering a cup car in any race is a big deal for us. But this is also a bit of a continuation, at least for me personally, of celebrating Justin's championship, achieving a goal that, like you said, we've been after for a long time, and we've came so close, and we have had some really, really tough, heartbreaking moments, but it's really strengthened our bond and partnership. And so when we were starting to talk about doing this, I think me and Kelly both knew that we had to consider Justin as the driver. And as all of that played out toward the end of last year, it was a no-brainer that was what we needed to do. And I want to let Kelly speak to this too, but because she's probably more aware of this than I am. With Traveler, we want them to have a great experience, and we know what Justin's capable of doing outside of the car as well as inside the car. And so we know that as a driver and through marketing engagement, that Justin will make sure this is a great experience for Traveler and Chris and his team.
Kelly?
Yeah, speaking to that part of it, not only just having your brand on the car, but we want to make sure it's a great marketing opportunity for the brand to grow, for the fan base to get acquainted with the Traveler brand. And so, as Dale alluded to, Justin being with our organization so long, he just goes above and beyond anything that's asked or not asked. And so, he's always there for his partners. He's there for our team partners. And so we know that Justin will do a great job, not only around the 500 when we, get the opportunity to get out there and attempt to qualify, but really all year long for this partnership and what it means to the Traveler brand. So we're just excited that Justin was our guy and that he said yes that day that we brought him into the principal's office.
And then Justin, we talked a lot last November, about, whether or not the championship was something that you could have, ended your career having or not. And I'm curious, how much did you think at this stage of your career about your 2 Daytona 500 starts? And they weren't the greatest of situations. And did you need to have a Daytona 500 situation with a quality team, quality people to make your career feel complete?
I don't know. I think for me, the interesting part of this is that I'm probably more excited about what I said earlier with this being Junior Motorsports' first Cup Series start. I think that it's been something that I love where I'm at. I love being a part of this organization and the people that I'm around. And Dale and Kelly and LW are obviously the face and the upfront part of it, but it goes all the way through the organization, all the employees, all the men and women that are part of it. It's as large as our group has gotten, it's still a family, and it's still the family feel. And I feel like, with what Chris has brought with Traveler's Whiskey, that feel is the same, right? It's about, just enjoying experiences and being in the moment and kind of living present in the moment. And this is something for me that's really, really cool. And the championship last year was awesome. But I had conceded to the fact that I wasn't really sure that was ever going to happen. And when we finally pulled it off, it was like, man, that's a really cool big moment. And seeing the excitement of our entire group at the shop was a big deal. And so this just takes that the next step further, and really proud to represent, not only Junior Motorsports, but the Traveler's Whiskey brand. And, like I said, we have our work cut out for us to even make the race. But there will be nothing cooler than if we can line up on Sunday and I told Chris already, the thing that I'm looking forward to the most, the thing that I miss the most is the flyover and those chills of, the pre-race moment of that event. There's nothing like it in our sport. I stick around every year for Sunday and walk pit road and think about the days that I was there racing it. I don't have to do that this year. Hopefully, I can hopefully be there in a fire suit and getting my, my focus on for the race. And that's really something that's important for me.
Thank y'all.
All right, we'll take our next question from Mike Solarte. Go ahead, Mike.
Thanks very much. Congratulations, everybody. This is a pretty cool deal. Dale, you kind of touched on it in your last response, but can you just kind of express what this means to have your entry in the 500? I know that this race means so much to you on so many levels.
Yeah, I still don't feel like that. Like Chris said, I still feel like it's still sinking in. So I did tell Kelly that I wanted to be present for all the moments, and so from the moment we started to select the chassis and purchase the car and start to find the components and get the components, and even going through that with NASCAR and understanding that whole process is really unique and new compared to how things work in the Xfinity Series. So I want to be involved, or at least a witness to everything. And I'm going to be on pit road when the car's pushed out for qualifying. I'll be there when it's going out for practice. I'll be there when they unload it on Wednesday at the racetrack. I want to go through tech. I want to see everything. So I don't know what's realistic, but because there'll be some other obligations, but I'm approaching this like it's a one and only opportunity, a dream come true. And I told Kelly, I said, I want you there for all of it as well, because we're going to do this. We've done this together from the start. And we're this is a very, this was something that we really waited for the right moment. And Chris and his brand and Traveler and their excitement around it feels nice and genuine. And they're experiencing it for the first time as well. So yeah, we're all kind of going through that.
There's a lot of synergy in that way, I think,
Exactly. So it's really cool. It's hard to put it into words right now, but I think to Justin's point, I told him, I said, I think if we're fortunate enough for everything to go well and we can be there on the grid for the 500, that pre-race moment is going to be very emotional and really, really cool. So, once it's on the grid, it's out of my hands, but getting it there is going to be a lot of fun.
And Kelly, if I could just follow up and get your answer to that question and what it means to you to be a part of this endeavor, from the Earnhardt family side of things.
Yeah, I can't really sum it up any better than Dale did. We talked about the opportunity. We've been talking about the opportunity to be in the Cup Series, and obviously we're a family of racers. This is our life. This is our passion. And so to be able to have a Cup entry at the Daytona 500, a place that's really special to us, a place where the Earnhardts have had a lot of history and a lot of success, both my dad and Dale, it's just really kind of full circle and a situation. This is the perfect situation, the right moment, as Chris said. So
sure.
We're just pretty thankful, and I'm glad to be here.
And then I do have one. I'm sorry, Justin, I'm going to skip over you and
You're fine. Trust me.
But Chris, when you look at being teamed up with this legendary family, forget about the business side of it. What does that mean to you personally that I'm with the Earnhardts?
More things that aren't really sinking in wholly, like you set out to do things and you meet people sometimes, and these are good people beyond just being Earnhardts, and that's very important to me to be in business with good people. And this, I love that we've built something together, even though we've had this short period of time to do this thing in. I'm so grateful that they were willing to let me participate in the world just a small bit, and it really is, it's one of those surreal things that you get to experience once in a lifetime. Like I said, they don't know. They say they don't know. This might be the only one we ever get a piece of, and or get to sit there, and it's stuff you dream up that doesn't happen, And this is one of them. It's one of those moments. It feels today. It's felt, particularly with the car reveal. It's felt like, it became so real when the sheet came off the car. I was like, oh, this is not a napkin drawing anymore, or some pie in the sky idea that we think would be cool. This is something we're really going for and really trying to do. And I'm thrilled to be rolling the dice and taking the risk with them. I think it's a wonderful energy. There's great energy around it for me.
it's also surreal to be sitting next to a legend in the music industry, right? Not that I mean, I see these guys all the time, and they're amazing, and they are legends also in the sport. But to have all of this is, I'm still pinching myself, to be honest with you.
Thanks, everybody. Justin, find the right words. We'll see you at preseason kickoff. Thanks, everybody.
All right, our next question will go to Chase McCabe from 102.5 in Nashville. Go ahead, Chase.
My question's for Dale and Kelly. As you guys have built Junior Motorsports and done this in kind of your own way, and made, obviously, Dale, you had your career in your own right. A lot of fans, have followed you because they followed your dad. And so as you kind of look at this now as going into the Cup Series for the first time, was there ever a sense that you wanted to do it for yourselves, you wanted to do it for the company, but you also wanted to do it for those fans that have stuck by you guys and the Earnhardts for so long? And what do you think your dad would think about this?
Well, I hope that he'd be excited about it. I'm sure he would have told us how we should have done it differently, but he was also always very supportive. But so I think he would be excited about this. I do feel a bit of an obligation as with our connection to the fan base. I do feel that obligation to achieve and have milestones as an owner. And I think you can hear rumblings over the years around the fans being excited or hopeful of a potential Cup opportunity for us. And so, there's pressure, not only me and Kelly. Kelly said it so good the other day. She's like, we're a family and we race, and racing's what we do. We're always going to race. And, we find a way to get to the racetrack and compete, because that's what we've always done and what we want to do. And so we've always wanted to race in the Cup Series, just waiting on the right pieces to fall into place. And so I hope that we can, for our fans, there will be some pressure to go out there, get the car in the field, and get it on the grid, so that we can all enjoy this.
And one quick follow-up, when you guys have done things, it's always been 8 or 88 or 3, and those connections. 40, obviously, with the connection to the sponsor. How cool is it going to be to kind of do something a little bit different?
I like the connection, and I like that, Justin, I'll let Chris talk a little bit about this, but Justin mentioned Chris was very involved, and he knows what he likes, knows what he wants this brand to become, and what they're creating with Traveler. And so we were more than excited to allow them all the creative influences they wanted to be able to have the race car on the racetrack that they want. So, as a traditionalist and somebody who is a bit of a history buff, I was a bit surprised at how I felt about this, because I didn't mind what the number was. I was just hopeful to be able to put it together and get it on the racetrack. So and the fact that, there's a connection for Chris and his team to the number makes it matter to me.
You want me to speak to that as well?
Oh, yeah, please.
Okay. Well, really, the number of, obviously, Travel Whiskey is blend number 40. We tried over 50 different blends before we picked the blend that goes in the bottle. And I didn't know how much it really was not necessarily a problem, but when I said, can it be number 40? I was just kind of throwing it out in the air. They're like, well, we have to check if we can have that. And I'm just like, oh, okay. Yeah, it's cool. But it really worked out for, I think it's a nice synergy to have that little cue from, I like Easter eggs and things like that. On bottles and now on a car. So it's and I wanted the car to also look like junior racing, but also Travel Whiskey, and I wanted to really look like both of those things. And I think that we achieved that in what we did with the car. That was really my goal, and anything I was kind of picking on about.
Thank you.
Right, our next question will go to John Newby from Savage Ventures. Go ahead, John. with your question.
Perfect. Thank you. Slightly different direction. Dale, I was wondering if you can give some more insight into bringing Greg Ives on board for this. I know you guys have a history together and you both won at Daytona, but what else went into that business decision?
I saw how many times he's qualified a car on the front row at Daytona.
I'm appreciative, trust me.
It's like, you got any magic left, Greg? Let's go to the track, see what we can do. But, I think being an open car, there's some challenges to get into the field, and it won't be easy. There'll be some very tough competition. So I was confident that Greg understood better than anybody the things that we would all need to gather into place to go there with the best opportunity we could. And me and him are just really, really great friends. And I just trust him wholeheartedly with his decisions. So, and I don't think he'll be too annoyed with me standing over his shoulder throughout the whole process, asking him all kinds of silly questions. So, that went into the thought process as well. But yeah, he's got a great track record in terms of qualifying, and that hopefully can be a big assist for us.
I think a follow-up on that too is, Greg's been on the Xfinity Series car for Hendrick Motorsports on the 17. We have a really good working relationship with him back and forth. On the Xfinity Series side, they actually came to us for some help whenever they started running that 17 car. And Greg has gotten to work really closely with all of our crew chiefs, with all of our drivers, and he's got a really good understanding. I mean, he was a championship crew chief at Junior Motorsports. He understands the business really, really well. And I think that it gives some comfort when you look at trying to assemble people for this organization and for what we're trying to accomplish. It gives that little bit of comfort that I think makes a big difference.
Yeah.
And so, Dale's got a comfort. I've got a comfort. I'm sure Kelly has a comfort. Chris doesn't know yet
because they have a comfort.
Yeah, he's ready to go. I thought when we got the news about Greg, it was really, really cool because I think he's a great person to have on the box for the race.
I'll say this too about Greg, since he worked at Junior Motorsports for a while and he crew chief my car, but over the course of the last several years, there's been moments where we brought him into the building at Junior Motorsports. We were struggling a little bit in certain particular years, and he's came in to be, an advisor for us and take a bit of a 40,000 foot view of what we're doing to help us find ways to get ourselves back on track. So we utilize Greg all the time, and his expertise has been beneficial to Junior Motorsports, even over the past recent years, to try to continue our success.
That's a ton of insight. Thank you.
All right. Our next question will go to Pat Jaggers with Motor Racing Network. Go ahead, Pat.
This question's for Justin. Dale referenced the challenge of making the Daytona 500. The announcement's been made. Obviously, that's the next step, is making the Daytona 500 as an open car. Best case scenario, you go into qualifying, you secure one of those spots, and you call it a day. But if you do have to race into the duels, with this being such a huge thing for Junior Motorsports, being the first cup entry, can you just kind of take me through what the emotions will be like, trying not just to make the race and getting a good starting position, but also, keeping the car clean to get to Sunday? Just all those things. Can you just take me through all the different elements that goes into potentially racing the duels to make the 500?
To revisit Phoenix.
Yeah. We've had a lot of pressure. Phoenix is a great example of what not to do in those moments. But, I think one of the things for me that's been ultra important, and Greg and I have talked about this, and we've talked about this internally, but I think your mindset has to be to go try to qualify, right? That has to be number one. And I think that's the easiest way to do it, because then you can race the duels in a different capacity. You can allow yourself to do a little bit more learning. You can work on some of the things that are going to be keys for the race for the 500. You can work on some setup balance changes and things like that. If you don't qualify in and you have to race your way in through the duels, I think your mindset changes. And, we all are understanding of what can happen in the duels. I mean, we can have something happen coming to the green, and anywhere in those races. I mean, we've seen it time and time again, and I remember watching last year with Jimmy Johnson trying to race his way in. And I remember thinking to myself, if I'm ever in that position and you're going to have to go for it, you just have to kind of lay caution to the wind, and you're going to have to go and try and see what you can accomplish. And, number one, I have a great mentor in super speedway racing. Number two, we've had success on super speedways in the past. We won at Daytona, not this past summer, but the summer before, in the Xfinity series. So, there are things that I think we have going for us in that capacity, but it's not lost on me how much pressure there is in this. And LW, who's sitting off camera over here or just on camera, he told me just go focus on doing all we can do. But I do take a lot of pride in, this process and what that's going to look like. And I have to do a lot more homework before Daytona. I have to understand the drivers. Watching footage back is going to be important. Looking back at SMT from, past races, how guys made their way in. I look at pit road. That could equally be a difference maker, on whether we make the race or not. So, there's a lot that goes into this. We still have to go try to win an Xfinity Series race. I mean, that's first and foremost on what we got too. So a lot of effort and time goes into this. But I look at who we've assembled. I look at the whole process, and it just feels right. As Chris has already said, it just feels right. And I feel like if there's ever an opportunity to go do this, it's definitely this year.
And just to follow up, this question's for Chris. What's it going to be like for you to see that car on the track for the first time? Are you going to be nervous? Are you going to be excited? Have you kind of imagined what that will be?
I have nothing to compare it to. So I imagine I'll be excited and then maybe nervous. I don't know. These guys are kind of laughing because we've been talking about it all day. They're like, well, it looks like one thing on paper, and then it looks like another thing when we're sitting out here in front of the building. And then it looks like a whole different thing on the track. And then I think they're speculating what is going to happen when I see that. I don't know. I really don't know. We have to take bets or something.
Thank you.
All right. Our next question will go to Cameron Richardson with NASCAR.com. Go ahead, Cameron.
Hello. I have a question for Dale. In terms of the business side and racing side, just what aspects are going to be most important to you, or what stuff that you look at when you go back and review everything from this process?
Well, I think, obviously this is a tough one to answer because you would hope fans would understand that the answer to this question. Performing on the racetrack is absolutely important. We do want to go and win the pole and win the race every time we show up. But given the circumstances, and Chris and Traveler has trusted us with their brand and to go represent them well, I think at the end of the day, I want them to be happy with the experience and be glad that they did it and did it with us. And so that's probably the first thing that you want to feel on Monday morning after the Daytona 500. And everything else is, secondary to that. So, we want to go race well and do well. We're definitely going to be thinking about that very thing all weekend long as we go through the process of qualifying and practicing and so forth. But in the end, I mean, it doesn't really none of that success matters if Traveler doesn't enjoy the experience and if Chris doesn't enjoy the experience, because that partnership is how this comes together. So, and I love that. I think Kelly and I are both extremely confident in our people at Junior Motorsports that they will deliver, and we chose the right driver to make sure that those boxes are checked for our partners. And so, that's probably the most important thing. And then again, just going and racing, going and running good.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to get one additional question here before we wrap. And to do that, I'm going to go to Jonathan Feld with the racing experts. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you guys for taking the time. I appreciate it. Chris, I first want to ask you, you have that friendship with Rick Hendrick dating back a few years, but does your ties to NASCAR kind of date back beyond that? What's that kind of look like?
Look like it would be a waste of time for me to sit here and talk about racing like when you have these people sitting here that can do it so well. I felt all day. One time I sat in on a Major League Baseball hitting meeting, and they were going through all these things that I had no idea went into racing. And so that's what I felt like hearing these guys talk about what needs to happen for this to happen. So for me to discuss in any kind of way what needs to happen, in my opinion, I'm excited to partner with them and to kind of build off of what Dale was saying. I'm so pleased that you want us to be happy, but we're already happy as partners with what we're doing here. And everything that I ever dreamed that this could be is happening right now. And now I want you guys to go do what you do. That's what I want you thinking about, is doing what you do. And I love to see great people being pros at what they do. And that's what this is right now. And it's going to happen. It's going to look good. It's going to feel good just to enter the car to try to qualify. That's going to feel good. And that's what I'm looking for out of it.
For sure, yeah. And Dale, I mean, when was the first time you guys got talking about this deal, and when did it really feel like it could become a reality?
My gosh. I hope Kelly's got a better memory than I do.
July-ish, yeah.
July-ish,
Kelly as well.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so we were presented, with the opportunity, like Chris had alluded to, his friendship with Mr. Hendrick, and this is something that they had interest in doing. And so, we were able to put all of our heads together on the marketing side. I have to give a big kudos to my team at JR Motorsports for working with their team and understanding what kind of objectives they had in this process and putting together a plan that, that they liked and that they felt could work for their brand to bring this all together. So, we've been working on it since the summer, and not a long time, but not too short of a time. So we're here and we're excited to make it happen in February.
Thank you, guys.
All right. And Kelly, a quick question for you before we wrap. I know fans are going to want this answer. Will there be merchandise available? With car,
it.
Yes.
You know it. Yep. That's we've been working on that. Chris and his team and our team together have been working on that. So you can expect to see our merchandise trailer at the track. It'll be online at juniornation.com, be on NASCAR.com, and all the normal places that you can find it. So yeah, we're excited about that part of it too.
When will the diecast be available? That's my question.
Dale's question: when will the diecast be available? You know that process. Probably about 4 months. On the slow boat from somewhere.
Well, Chris, Justin, Kelly, and Dale, thank you so much for joining us today and spending really just this much amount of time with us to be able to explain, where this idea came from, the partnership you guys have formed, and the opportunity Justin will have here in just a few weeks to qualify the number 40 entry into the Daytona 500. So thank you again for joining us, for the media who are on as well.
All right, there's the checkered flag. Great job, driver.